Let's talk real estate. I'm Heather Vaughn with the Property Group 850, and I'm here to talk to you about real estate in Florida, specifically the Panhandle, Okaloosa County, Walton County, Santa Rosa County is where I primarily work. So today I wanted to talk about how to buy a house near Eglin Air Force Base. So you got orders. You know you're PCSing to Eglin. What do you do? Where do you start? And there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of things. And so I wanted to kind of talk today to break that down. When you get your orders to Eglin, it is important to consider several different things when you're looking to either purchase or rent a home. First of all, we want to decide, is buying right now the right time for you? If you know you're only going to be here a short period of time, a couple of years, it may not be the right time to buy. The market will really fluctuate, and we want to make sure that buying is the right decision. If your long-term goals are to build a rental portfolio or keep a home for an investment, then we want to find the right home that we know when you leave in a couple of years that we can get a renter in there and keep it strong rental history and really boost you for your future. If you know that you do not want any of that, that you're only going to be here a couple years, then we're going to consider that when we're looking at homes, and buying might not be the best option for you, and that's okay. So I am here to help guide you and discuss these things with you and make sure that the decisions that you make when you come to Eglin are the best for you and your family. So what's the most important thing? I would say living here, I have lived in Florida since 2005. And the biggest thing that people talk about when they are coming to Eglin is the commute. Now, some people are from a lot of different areas. If you're from a bigger city or a military base, if you're coming from a base that is centralized in a bigger city, traffic and commute time might not be a big deal to you. But a lot of people are very concerned about it. So we are just going to talk about the elephant in the room, traffic around Eglin Air Force Base. So Eglin main gate is just outside of Shalimar, Fort Walton Beach area. And that is if you purchase a home in Fort Walton or Shalimar, you are very close to the main gate of Eglin Air Force Base. There's another gate near Niceville. Again, very close, much shorter commute. You still will have traffic. There is traffic everywhere. As you know, when everyone is going to base or leaving base, there's going to be traffic regardless of the commute time or the distance from base. There's traffic. So Shalimar is highly sought after. Fort Walton Beach, definitely Niceville. That's probably the most highly sought after area of our area that we are in is Niceville. Everyone wants to live in Niceville. Niceville has excellent schools. Side note, I will tell you that everywhere has excellent schools. Every school has amazing teachers. So don't let that be a specific focus, but obviously if you have kids and certain things are priorities for them academically, athletically, then we want to maybe look into that a little bit further. But Niceville is a top priority destination place that people want to buy a home. Niceville has a higher price point for your home search. So that is something to keep in mind, but it has an excellent commute and a great community. Then some other areas, we see a lot of buyers pushing out to Mariester and Navarre, that you're getting a little bit farther on your commute. If you are stationed at Hurlburt, Navarre is not that bad. It's actually more common if you're at Hurlburt to be in Navarre. Still, Highway 98, you're going to have the traffic and you're going to have the commute. You cannot avoid that. You're not going to avoid it. So keep that in mind. Then we have Destin. Destin is over a couple bridges and you can purchase a home in Destin. And Destin is really not that outrageous to purchase unless we're trying to get you on the Gulf or on the Bay. Destin is a great place as well. The schools are up and coming in Destin. They're just in the last several years, they've built a high school over there. So it's just things to pay attention to and how close you want to be to the beach. So if you want to be super close to the beach, Destin, Fort Walton, and Navarre are going to probably be your priorities for being super close to the beach. Then we kind of push out to our outskirts areas. We have Freeport. Freeport is beyond Niceville from driving from base to Freeport, you're going to drive through Niceville. And Freeport, it's up and coming for real. There is so much coming up in Freeport, the housing developments, the amenities, the neighborhoods. Hammock Bay, for one, is just unreal out there. So there's a lot to consider. The commute's definitely going to be farther. You're talking probably a 40 to 50 minute commute, depending on where you are in Freeport and where you need to go on base. And then also you want to keep in mind the commute versus traffic. So that's something I want to talk a little bit more about. So the next place would be Crestview. Crestview is north of Eglin Air Force Base. It's actually right near Eglin, but as far as where the base gates are, you're a little bit farther away. Crestview is more affordable, larger lot sizes. There's a lot more housing options available in Crestview because Crestview has more land. So there's definitely a lot of housing developments going up in Crestview, and there's a lot of people that move to Crestview and work on Eglin or 7th Group or Duke Field. Crestview is much, much closer to 7th Group and Duke Field than it is to the main gate. But when I'm saying much, much closer, I'm talking a few miles, 10 miles maybe. But Crestview has traffic. Everyone will tell you, don't move to Crestview. There's too much traffic. Don't move to Crestview. The traffic is horrible. Crestview basically kind of has one way in and one way out. If you are coming from south end of Okaloosa County, coming from the south end of Okaloosa County, and you are driving north to get to Crestview, you have basically 3 options. 1, you take Highway 85 like everybody else. 2, you take Highway 285, which is up through like Niceville and Defuniak, like a third of everybody else. Or if you end up purchasing in like Milton area, there's Highway 87. That's quite a bit out of the way unless you are at Hurlburt, and then Milton would make perfect sense or make good sense. I have had buyers purchase a home in Milton and actually go to Eglin, 7th Group, Duke Field, everywhere. Hurlburt, they're completely content with that. So Crestview, we have a lot of traffic in Crestview. I have lived in Crestview for 16 years myself. The traffic is what it is. It is what it is. There's a lot of people here, but there's a lot of people everywhere. There's traffic everywhere. So I want people, everyone tells you traffic is horrible, traffic is horrible, traffic is horrible in Crestview, I want you to consider there are lots of things to think about when you're talking about the traffic. First of all, if you're coming from somewhere where you've already had a 45 to 60 minute commute, it's the same. It's going to be about the same. Now, on a good day, it will not be a 45-minute commute from base. It won't. In the middle of the night or outside of peak hours, it also will not be a 45-minute commute. It is not that bad. It is just bad during those peak timeframes from about 4 p.m. to 6:30 in the evening. And in the morning, driving south from about 6 a.m. to probably about 8 a.m. is when it's the toughest because everyone is going to work. Everyone is coming home from work at the same time. So the traffic is kind of tough in Crestview, but you get some audiobooks, you turn on the radio, you do your thing in your car. So I live in Crestview and I really love it here. And so I don't want you to ever discount Crestview if price is important, if you don't so much care about how close you are to base, how close you are to the beach. So like I said, I live here and we still go to the beach. It's not that big. It's just an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes to the beach. It's not a big deal. So definitely area is going to be the very first thing that we consider is where do you want to be? How far of a commute do you want to have from the main gate at Eglin Air Force Base? Next, we're going to talk about your lifestyle. Do you want beach? Do you want to be near the beach? Do you want to be able to walk to the beach? Might be a little bit harder. Do you want to be able to hop in your golf cart and go to the beach? Do you want to be able to just drive over to the beach at any minute of the day and not worry about it? Do you not really care so much because beach will be for the weekend? And so I'm okay having a longer drive. So those are things to consider. Also, if you like hiking and hunting, those are going to be things that you're probably not going to find down in Destin so much as you might in Crestview or Freeport or Milton areas. Next, we're going to talk about land size. So I mentioned that Crestview has larger lot sizes. They do. Sure, we can definitely find you some lots, some houses in the other areas that have half-acre lots, 1-acre lots, but that's more rare. In Crestview, it is more common to find a 1/3 to a half-acre lot in any neighborhood, and then upwards. So definitely more options if you want more space. We'll talk more about this as well, because a lot of people feel like they need to have minimum 1 acre. And then when you realize how big 1 acre really is, you realize you don't really need 1 acre, that you're really content with like a half acre, maybe a little less. So just things to consider when we talk about acreage. Do you have kids that they need a lot of space? Do you have dogs that they need a big, huge fenced in yard? Do you have a lot of toys that you need outside, like, 4-wheelers and motorbikes and all of that? So those are things to consider. Also, HOA or no HOA? Do you want an HOA? Do you absolutely not want an HOA? Are you open to having an HOA if there's not a lot of rules or they're not really crazy? Those are things to consider, and we'll talk about that as you start your search. Next thing would be, once you kind of decide which area you want to focus on, we'll talk about school zones. And like I said, if you have kids that are school age and academics or athletics are really important, that is going to be something that I would recommend that you research on where would be the best fit for my kids. Now, some people travel to the schools. They live in Crestview, their kids go to Niceville, and they take their kids, and that's fine. If you live outside of the zoning of that school, you do have to give your kids their own transportation. So that is just things that we'll consider. Crestview is building a brand new K-8 school currently. So the zones are shifting a little bit. So as my buyers that I'm working with right now, we are looking at that, and we are making sure that if they know they want to be in the zone of a certain elementary school or a certain middle school, and they're buying, then we want to stay in that zone when they're purchase their new home. So once we figure out, like, where do you want to look, that's when we'll really start to dive in, and we can look at the homes and see which things about a home really appeal to you. Because while you are considering location and price and space that you have and commute, you also want to make sure that your budget fits all of those things. So we all have a wish list, and then we have a want list, and then we have a need list. So we want to take what you absolutely need and then combine your wants and your wishes and see how many of your wants and your wishes we can get on that list of the things that you will have in your new home. So it's a lot to consider when you're coming to Eglin Air Force Base. It's not just, oh, we're going to Eglin, we're going to be in Fort Walton, or we're going to be in Shalimar, which are great places to be. But I encourage you to consider all of the things that I've talked about today and all of the information about really researching where do we want to be, where will we be happiest, and then the biggest thing would be considering, what is the long-term goal? How long will we be here? What is the goal for this home purchase? Or is it even time to purchase? So again, I'm Heather Vaughn with the Property Group 850. Thank you for coming along and listening. And if you have any questions about moving to Eglin Air Force Base or moving away from Eglin Air Force Base, I'm your girl. Give me a call. See you later.